How many of you stop to think about your military personnel and pray for them on a regular basis? We all pray for those who are going to give their ultimate sacrifice, who might get injured in the line of duty. But what are some of the other sacrifices that somebody who joins the military service pays? You think of some others?
Their family.
Their family?
They don't get paid much.
They don't get paid much? True.
Their kids sacrifice.
Their kids sacrifice too. Their families sacrifice as well. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes on. I'm going to share a series of stories with you this morning to help you understand the sacrifices that go on in a military family. Not just by the military personnel themselves, but by their families. As I said, both of my parents, or as my introduction said rather, through me, both of my parents were career Air Force brats, as we like to call them. My mother's father was a career Air Force pilot, flew a lot of dangerous missions, was a test fighter pilot with a lot of the astronauts in the early 50s, and served in several different wars over the years. My father's father was an Air Force chaplain. While he was not regularly placed in the same kind of physical danger, his family still put up with the same types of sacrifices that my mother's family did. They're moved on a regular basis. My mother attended 13 different schools in 12 years. Because every time they moved in the middle of a school year, and they inevitably moved right during one of those periods when, well, all our first and third graders are in one school, and our fourth, fifth, and sixth graders are in the next school, and they'd move in the middle of her third grade year, so she'd attend one school for her third grade year and another school for her fourth grade year. And they moved regularly. She actually attended her first year of college in Japan. Fantastic opportunities, but still an awful lot of sacrifice and a lot of childhood growing up that occurred there. My father's family actually followed her family around the country. It was kind of a funny story. They actually couldn't stand each other growing up, even though they were the same age, and then eventually got married. But their families followed one another. So his family, while being a chaplain's family, still suffered those same changes. He didn't attend quite as many schools because he was a year younger than her, so he inevitably would move in and have a full year and a year at the school that he was at before he moved on to the next area. So the children suffered. But what about the personnel themselves? My father was 28 years in the military. In those 28 years, I was alive for 26 of them. My father missed 12 birthdays, 20 anniversaries with my mother, almost missed my graduation because he was in Germany. He spent a lot of time away from his family. So why did he join the military? He knew what the military was like. He grew up in it. Why would he join this military? Well, my father enlisted in the Army in 1966 actually. What was going on in 1966? Vietnam. And what else was happening to young men at that point? There was a draft on. There were draft on. And when you realize what the sacrifices that others went through, sometimes you can understand where the draft dodgers were coming from, unfortunately. Dad actually graduated from high school and had dreams of going on to get his bachelor's degree. I've never asked him what he thought he was going to do when he was a kid, or what he wanted to be when he grew up. But he sat down the day he graduated from high school with his father and he said, look, I know that my number's probably coming up for the draft pretty soon, and I have a choice. I can wait until my number comes up, whenever that might be, and end up being a private, or I can walk in and I can enlist and have a chance at doing what I really would like to do. So he marched his way down to the draft office and said, I want to be a helicopter pilot. And they enlisted him, sent him off to flight school. And a year later, he graduated from flight school as a warrant officer and helicopter pilot with free education benefits, free medical care for life, a new wife, and was sent off to Vietnam. The only member of his graduating class to come back alive. He didn't pay the ultimate sacrifice there, but he came back. My mother got pregnant, they had me. She got pregnant again, they had twins. He started his college degree, hey, it's free benefits, right? I can go to school for free, so I'm going to go to school. So he started his college degree, and then the military decided they had too many warrant officer pilots. And they did what's known as a reduction in force. And as my mother was laying in the hospital with premature babies in the NICU unit, they said, Warrant Officer Kinsey, you have choice. You can get out, no benefits, no retirement, or we'll let you re-enlist as an E3, which is a private. He didn't have a college degree. He had a family of 4 to feed now. He re-enlisted. Over the next 24 years, he served in Korea, he served in Germany. We actually spent 4 years in Germany. One of the perks of being in a military family is you do get to travel, so I lived in Germany for 4 years. And every time Dad would get stationed someplace new, he would attempt to get that degree. In 1976, he finally finished his associate's degree from the University of New York, and he was thrilled. He really wanted that bachelor's degree. Back then, we didn't have internet classes. We didn't have the opportunity to travel abroad and continue to attend school stateside. So if you were in school and you got reassigned or sent to the field for 3 months or sent stateside for a temporary duty assignment for a couple of months, classes suffered. So over the next several years, he continued to occasionally get a class in here or a class in there, but he never got rid of that dream. He never let go of that dream of getting that education, something that my mother had. All 3 of his daughters have bachelor's degrees, and we all wanted him to have that. Well, there's a success story here, and 2 weeks ago I had the opportunity to go out and see 100 of our military personnel graduate from college. Some of them were younger, had been in Iraq, taking their classes on the internet while they were fighting in the war. Amazing to find out they were doing that. I can't imagine focusing on both of those things at the same time, but they did it. And then there were the people like my father, who 43 years after starting it, finally got his bachelor's degree. A lot of people don't realize the sacrifices that go into giving your life to the career of serving your country and protecting your country. But we had that success story. And my sisters and I both have all come to realize just how much of a sacrifice. Growing up, we just knew he wasn't there. As adults, we've come to understand that sacrifice and to respect that sacrifice. And 2 weeks ago, we had the opportunity to all be there when he crossed that stage. Surprised him, brought him to tears when he found out we were all there for that. But I want you to think, as you talk about praying for our soldiers and praying for them to be not to be in harm's way or to be brought home safely, remember all of the other sacrifices that they do.